Hey,
What's
welcome back,
up?
guys.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to First Draft. It's been a while, and we're back with three new topics. The the first one, the am I overreacting? We had a little bit of a hiccup on this one, but I think we've kind of fleshed it out and created something a little bit interesting for you guys. This was initially floated around a month ago. It has since been updated. And so we're going to ad lib a little bit. Not ad lib, but improv.
Yeah.
So the topic is: am I overreacting for breaking up with my boyfriend of 2 years because he started to support Trump? The OP, the original poster, they, I guess, redid everything within the past month. But we're going to generalize the question a little bit, and we were inspired by this a lot. It created a lot of discussion in the background, and we want to answer a different question. Would we be overreacting if we broke up with a significant other for politics? And this comes up a lot. I've had conversations with other people about this. People are questioning this a lot nowadays. Like, how important are the politics to the relationship? And so, yeah, that is the general question. And yeah, I'll kick it over to you guys. What do you all think about the general question?
Or would we consider dating people of a different political affiliation?
I think that's an important part of this question is, shouldn't you discuss if your political affiliation is that important to you? Shouldn't you discuss that with a potential partner before you start dating? I mean, the question is different because she's saying this occurred, like his support for a particular candidate. I don't know if it changed, but I guess she discovered that while they were already in a relationship. So
or
that makes,
he became a
or he could have
Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
all the questions, all these questions that we just stated.
Yeah, but I think what you were alluding to was the fact that should that be discussed before you even begin dating? But what happens if that is a change while you're dating, which I think is the most important question.
Yeah. Do y'all want to stick to that?
Yeah, let's stick to that first, and then if we have time, we can revisit.
Okay.
Or maybe extrapolate from the original topic and then go from there.
That's interesting. Yeah. So let's tackle if it's already established before you go into the relationship and it changes. Is that what y'all want to?
Mm-hmm. Or it becomes stronger to where like you're like both very aware of the differences.
Right.
Okay.
You know, where it was just in the background before.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is where, and I'll set a backdrop here because this is what I usually tell people when this is brought up, is that a lot of people's political beliefs are not initially very strongly held. They are more kind of general things. They're
used to be.
I think it used to be that way.
Now they are strongly.
Now it's very polarized.
Yeah, no, correct. It used to be more like just
laissez-faire.
Yeah, like a more an accessory rather than the main show. And so I think that has, I think that's changed, but I'm still not convinced that that's because we've grown up in a certain amount of time, or because, you know, as you grow up, you start to see you get a wider frame of the world, and that does start to matter more.
Sure.
But I'm not convinced that it's because of that, or
I don't think it is because of that, because times have changed. In the past, people were still grown up, but we don't have the polarization that we have today.
Like the polarization, like young people now are very established.
Exactly.
Yes.
So no, I think it's definitely changed.
So
I agree.
So basically, when it comes to the polarization and the politics and the young people, because that's when you usually start dating, it's important to establish how strongly are your beliefs held. And then, yes, if they change, then that's a question of concern. And what's most important is,
why is it a question of concern, though? Everybody has the right to change their political affiliations.
Like we talked about earlier today, if you have Bayesian analysis and you have if you're presented with new information and you update your beliefs,
Right.
that's a valid concern. Progression. That's a really good way to put it.
Well, the other party might look at it as regression.
Could be.
Could be, but maybe
But it's a
regression.
But
is
progression happens in a cycle. You know,
Oh, okay.
things.
Yeah.
I mean, even
yeah.
if you look at
That's a
like
good way to
But
put it.
regardless,
Fashion.
it's a change.
It happens.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's.
What do you think?
What do I
her
think about the
breaking up?
AIO, or
Yeah,
what do I
about
think
the AIO
Uh,
specifically.
I mean, I guess the main question is, should you break up with somebody if their political beliefs change, or is that a good enough reason to
Or-
break up with somebody? Is that the real
Is that
question?
an overreaction? That's
I think-
another part of the question.
I mean, I guess this is where I'm going to lean to more of a moderate answer. I think to each his own. I think
Yeah.
it's up to each individual person to decide how much of a political affiliation is a important component of the relationship. If it's that important and where you stand and where your partner stand is that wide of a gap,
yeah.
then that
I
may be a
agree.
reason to separate, or at least reevaluate where you all stand as a couple.
Yeah.
Is what I would say.
I agree.
I don't know if there's an objective or generalized right or wrong answer to that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the real question is if she's talking specifically about Trump, and maybe some of my political beliefs align with her, and I could see her side, but I think that that's too biased. That's too, that's not enough of an objective answer on my behalf. So I think the real objective answer is if two people that are in a relationship are that divided, maybe that's something you need to question, is what I'm thinking. I don't think she's overreacting by questioning that, regardless of what side either partner is on, is what I would say.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
That's very valid, because I mean, even just questioning is totally valid.
For sure.
It's the issue where concern occurs is how important are these beliefs to you, and how much do they actually represent your core fundamental beliefs? So politics
that goes into a deeper topic at that point.
Correct,
that goes into the attachment to your philosophy.
That's why it's important.
That's why it's important, is because traditionally, your politics were an outward manifestation of deeper core held beliefs. And now, because
not always,
traditionally that was your politics were, you usually they derived from your.
I was gonna say, I don't think it was so much
your,
before.
I think now more than ever it's like that than before.
But I agree
go
with
ahead,
you.
because
I agree with you. But go ahead.
But the point still stands. What you're saying.
Just that your beliefs, your political beliefs,
are an extension of your philosophical affiliation,
or the application of your philosophical beliefs.
I get that.
And so your political beliefs don't say everything, because a lot of people don't really know much about their political beliefs, but they can be predictors of what your partner really fundamentally believes.
I feel like a lot of people today, they know, or at least they think they know, or they know enough to know their, like even young people, I feel like they know their political beliefs because they know where they stand on certain issues. Yeah. And those issues like are in this box or this, there's certain issues that are on this side or this side.
But this is where I think people get it wrong, and it goes back to our time as Gen Xers. Just because you have, like you said, boxes, right? Just because you have a ball in this box, it doesn't mean you can't have a ball in the other box on the other side. And I think that's where I have a problem with the current polarization of certain politics, is that because you align with this sector of politics, then you're automatically this side, or you're automatically that side. And that's where sometimes it bothers me. Even
like how do you have a problem with that? Again, be more specific, because people would know what like if you ask them 10 different things, would they not be able to say, no, this is my belief, this is not this.
So what if they're 5 and 5?
they're not necessarily.
What if they're 5 and 5?
They're not necessarily thinking, oh, what box is it in? What should I believe? They're just choosing. If they're 5 and 5, then they probably wouldn't be asking this question. They would probably be like more okay with that person being like
Not
who they are.
necessarily.
But they may
because
be.
it may be an important question.
But
Like I have a friend that I
but my
consider
question
very
is,
liberal,
what's your
but he's
problem
very.
with it?
Oh, I don't have a problem with it.
Isn't that what you said?
Well,
That's my problem.
I don't
with
have a
it.
problem with an individual. I have a problem with the country being so polarized over politics, and that's a deeper question and a
that's
separate
different.
question than
I agree
this.
with that.
Yeah,
I do agree with that.
yeah. I don't think that we should. I was just delving into a deeper topic. I don't want to get sidetracked.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Well,
But I think that if you like, if these 10 things define where you are, answer these 10 things and it'll define where you are. You know,
I mean,
you don't
it
have
could
to
be.
define where you are and then you'll know the 10 things. You know the 10, like, are you,
But maybe
Are-
it's the one thing you're divided over as a couple. You know, like I have a friend that's
true.
that I consider more liberal than anything, but he's very pro-gun, like very pro-gun
Mm-hmm.
and very First Amendment, and that's something that a lot of people that are on the left wing could not necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
But he would be totally in line with 9 out of 10 things that they agree with.
Yeah.
well, yeah, that's
So that's why I said that I don't think there's a generalized answer. That's going to be subjective and
I don't
very,
think there's a right or wrong answer to this.
yeah, and I don't think she's overreacting, which is
No,
basically
I don't
our
either. It
answer.
could seem like you're overreacting if you're just looking at the question like superficially, but
Yes.
you're actually not doing the opposite of overreacting. You're being
You're
very
doing a deep
thoughtful
dive. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's exposing
Mhm.
the core fundamental similarities and differences there are between two people. And there are some like opposites attract all day, but there are some core fundamental things that cannot be polar opposites. They can, but it's going to make that relationship
challenging.
very like, and relationships are already challenging. So it's
They're
going to
very
make
challenging,
they're going to make it even more challenging. So it's
Yep.
just exposing. And I think it's, now she said, am I overreacting for breaking up? I can see how that would be a valid question though too, because your feelings are still involved. Like you look like she still loves this
You have an
person.
investment at that
Yeah,
point.
she likely loves this person, and she's like, yeah, but I broke up with him because of this. I think it's just a manifestation. She broke up with him because like their core values are like so different, you know?
And then, I mean, and this
That's
comes
a
into
hard
play.
situation.
And then this comes into play if you're young enough and you haven't had children and you're looking to have children. That could be another secondary question, in addition to this base issue that you may have with your potential. Well, I mean, not potential partner; they are your partner, but potential co-parent, of course, or spouse,
Yeah.
So that you start thinking about, what do I want to teach our kid if we have one? And if those things are conflicting, that may be an issue, correct?
That's actually a broader topic that is the
not trying to sidetrack, because not everybody that gets into a relationship wants to have children, but
no, right,
correct,
obviously,
that would but I mean that is a huge thing, which was traditionally understood to be one of the core purposes of even having a relationship was to have the kids. And then you have to agree on how to raise them. And what point is it if the two primary, what did you say, co-parents or parents, if they can't agree on how to raise the kid, then it creates conflict. And how do you have to resolve the conflict? And so whose side do you take? And that creates a lot of issues. So yeah, that's
what I just kind of like realize, and tell me if you agree with this or not, but now it's about politics, right? And all the things that are in those boxes.
Correct.
Before, during in our time when we were like younger, I feel like it was more about religion beliefs. Like, are you a Christian? Are you getting with, like, if it was about anything, I'm not saying it was about that. But I
can't necessarily agree with that.
Listen, I rephrase my question.
Okay.
Not that it was about anything, but if it was about anything, it would have been about the religious beliefs. Like, you're a Christian and like he's like Hindu, You know, like that's the type of stuff you would think about, or your families would think about
Interfaith.
more.
Yes.
It would be more on the
That's a good-
interfaith thing if
Mhm.
there was something to consider. Not that there always was, even between people who profess Christianity and other, you
I can
know,
agree
and
with
Muslim.
that.
But if there
I can
was
agree with
something,
that.
it
I can agree
wasn't
with
like the
that.
demarcation wasn't between like
The
politics.
political
It was more religious.
affiliation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with it. I think it was very hard for me to attach to that because most of the people in my environment, and this is purely anecdotal and purely subjective, is that most of the people in my environment were already Christian, even if they were different
Yes.
denominations.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were already Christian.
So they
really,
like kind of fell in line with.
and people automatically assumed that you were Christian, so that wasn't really
Yeah.
the big differentiating factor as to why you shouldn't be a couple or why you should be
Yeah.
a
I mean,
couple.
we
People
all-
automatically assume
Allow
that
me
you
to-
were Christian.
Allow me to interject here very briefly. This is something I've been pondering
But
for a while.
I do
but
agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I can't really. I agree.
We were
Full.
more,
This is-
yeah,
this is what I would call culturally Christian, right?
yeah, exactly.
So you would say
Culturally.
everyone was culturally Christian. They had varying degrees of piety and
yeah.
you know
Well, I just meant
lapseness,
like whatever
you know,
they
non-practicing.
attach
We're
their
talking
faith
more
to.
about yeah.
back you know, this is in 1990s, right?
Well,
Mhm.
no, like mid '80s.
mid-80s.
90s also.
Yeah, '90s.
Mid 80s, 90s. So you had varying degrees of cultural Christianity.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
But a lot
So
of
that
people I
environment
knew
is
went to
different than what it
church or
is
had an
now.
affiliation to.
Yeah, but that could
Yeah.
still be cultural
It could
Christianity.
be.
Yeah.
But yes,
I get
I'm
you.
glad
I
that
get
you just
Clarified that.
pointed it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
that's
talking
cool.
about
I didn't coin that term. That's
Christianity,
just
which
a term
could
I've-
include cultural and true. I know that sounds like
Authentic, maybe.
true,
Okay.
because authentic to me implies the opposite is fake, and true implies false, and I feel like that's more objective. Like then, I don't want to. Fake is like almost an opinion. Is it like true or false? You know, are you
Mhm.
true Christian or cultural Christians? If they're only cultural Christians, to me, I don't think it would be like an opinion based for me to
Right.
say I wouldn't say this to anyone. I wouldn't even think this way.
Yeah,
but
but this
since
is a
we're
side-
talking about it,
But
like
this is a side topic.
yeah,
Let's get back
it's
to
a
the
side
core of the
topic.
question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually think it is kind of related, but yeah, let's wrap it up.
I don't think she's over. I think we're all in
No,
agreement.
I don't think
we
so.
don't. We all,
I think that's
even though we hold
Yeah.
different positions, we don't think she's overreacting.
now. Let me.
I don't think so at all.
And I think that everybody has the subjective choice to decide if they want to be with a partner that either aligns with their political views or differs in their political views.
Yeah, well,
And if you
yeah, of
question
course.
a partnership or a marriage or a relationship based upon the political affiliations of your partner, I think that's perfectly normal and fine.
Yeah, and that's
healthy.
usually done through the dating apps now because you can filter out.
Yeah,
all
you
that
can.
kind of
I
stuff
see.
now, yeah.
I mean, not to get. I'm on certain dating apps, and I see that. Like, there's certain attributes or descriptions, should we say, and it says like,
Right.
if you're a Trump supporter, don't
Don't
even,
like
my.
Yeah, don't like me.
You know, I was just like quickly scanning some of these comments from people that were responding to this person asking, you know, am I overreacting for breaking up? And a lot of these first comments are like immediately going into the religious thing.
Oh,
also.
okay, cool.
Because that's such a what is it?
Just a core belief, you know, like all of the political stuff. The political stuff is these are applications of philosophically or theological,
Yes.
really deeply held principles that maybe you were taught
But
by your
politics
parents.
and policies are
or
not
your-
always theology. Let's get that straight.
No, he's
No, but
saying
they-
philosophy.
Oh, but he said
He's saying
philosophy. But he said
philosophy.
political. But he said he
said philosophical.
I
said-
know,
I
but he
said-
said politics are just the application of
your
these
philosophical-
philosophical
Yeah,
beliefs.
So
but
he
he
also
said theology, and
he did say theological.
I did.
Well,
I said,
yeah, because
Yeah, he
that's
said
under
theological.
philosophical, but he's not like you're saying
I
philosophical.
know we're not sidetracking, but I just want to. I just
say
want
again what you said.
I just want to delve into that. Like he did say
Oh.
theological.
Yeah. Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you
Yeah,
say? Say
yeah.
it again.
I did. I did because
But I was focused on him saying the philosophical.
I get that.
Politics
but
are just-
we have to encompass all.
well, it's just
Say what you said
it's just hard to discount the fact that political beliefs or politics, they are downstream from political philosophy,
True.
Mhm.
which is
From philosophy.
hundreds of years
Yeah.
ago. So
Mhm.
our politics and the application, all the laws that we abide by daily come from political philosophy, which in this country derives from English common law, which is 200, 300 years old,
Yeah. Which in
which
turn
derives
is derived
from-
from
Yeah.
previous
theological
and metaphysical
principles.
components.
Yes.
Not metaphysical.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What
metaphysical.
metaphysical? Give me a metaphysical example that are like laws
Every
I'm talking about
Derived-
ontology.
derived
I'm
from.
talking about ontology,
Well,
like ontological components.
Like what?
well, no, we're not.
Give me an
Look.
example where it derives from metaphysical though, because it doesn't.
It does.
I just mean that
No, it
it's-
doesn't.
I just mean that it's not of the
It does.
physical
It's
world.
metaphysics.
It's not of the physical world. We're talking about
It's a
abstract
spiritual
concept.
question, an
Yeah, that's a good-
abstract-
that's
Right,
a
but
good
existential question.
specifically
It's an
theological.
I said metaphysical. I didn't say
No, but why?
theological.
No, but it's not metaphysical.
Okay, that's
Like
a side
our
topic.
politics and our laws, our philosophy or legal things, and our politics derive directly from theological, not metaphysical. Like you would have to give me an example.
I
what you
can, but
mean
I don't
by
want to go
that.
on this side quest.
Give one
for
example.
this. I don't have to.
Well, that's
Okay, let's do it offline.
Yeah, I don't have to.
Okay.
all right. Well, hey, let's.
I don't have to.
Man, that was
Gotcha.
This is a good. That was a really good
don't think you
Reddit
have
topic.
one.
I love this.
Oh, I do.
I
wanna hear it.
All right, let's wrap up. And do we agree that the OP was overreacting?
No.
No, we
I
all
don't think
agreed
she
that
was.
she
No.
wasn't.
I don't think she
We
was.
agree.
Or
Even though we hold
whoever it
different
was.
positions.
I said
Yeah.
no, but we agreed that she was not right. We're good. We agreed that she was
sure.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Cool. Well, let's move on. Boom. Guys, we're back. Yeah, Doge has been in the news recently, and we got to address it. It has been
For sure.
It's been all over my Twitter feed. I'm sure it's been all over your Instagram reels or threads, whatever they're called. We got to talk about it. The influence of Elon is we got to discuss it. And also, is it necessary to audit our government, which is a huge question, which is their stated mission. So I think what do you guys think about all that?
Yeah. What do I think? Oh, I mean, your secondary question. I think we should audit the government. I just think we should quantify who's in the leadership position to do that. I think my biggest problem is, even though I'm a tech bro, I'm a techno optimist, and I believe in technology finding efficiency in the processes of how we measure things and how we audit things. I'm not sure if Elon Musk is the person for the job. He's made mistakes even this week. I think our producer Calvin can pull it up. I think he even fired some people from the FDA that were set to approve his Neuralink, and then he had to.
FDA
Yeah, FDA.
approves Neuralink, Food and Drug
I think so. You can look that up. Look that up for me. I think it's in the link I sent you. Yeah.
Holy cow!
It says Elon Musk Doge fired several FDA employees who were reviewing clinical trials for his brain implant company Neuralink.
Oh,
Yeah, it was FDA.
so I guess we can.
They weren't set up to approve it; they were reviewing.
No, they were the actual the employees that he fired were the ones that were set to review Neuralink.
Yeah, that's what he said. Review, but not necessarily approve.
Well, the only way you can become approved is through review, right?
Mm-hmm. But like, there's part of a team probably.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can put to bed to the rumors that maybe he's doing it for self-gain.
No, I've got another reference that he is doing it for self-gain, because recently.
Wait, but he just fired the people who would help him out. to
Right,
approve
but he
his
also
technology.
retired,
But you're
yeah.
saying he did it unknowingly is the thing.
Well, I'm
Oh,
just saying
okay.
he did it erratically and did it without, like, why should he be in a leadership position to be able to pull strings when he can't even navigate his own company's interests? And he actually
Mm,
has other things that are problematic, and there's specific conflicts of interest with Elon Musk being involved, specifically with the FAA, which I think you can reference too. I think there's a link. I think the FAA is set to drop a contract they had with Verizon and are looking at contracting with Starlink, which is another Elon Musk company.
yeah.
And yeah, he's doing it for self gain, because if they pick up that contract, then that means that a person that's in government it's crony capitalism. He's directly benefiting from his influence within
So what
his
did he
governmental
do?
powder.
What did he do exactly with the FAA?
Well, the FAA is looking to drop Verizon and pick up a contract as far as air flight navigation with Starlink, which is an Elon Musk company.
So what
Mm.
did Elon Musk and Doge do?
Well, there is a relational affiliation between Starlink and Elon Musk, and they fired some FAA employees, and they're set to drop a $1 billion contract in order to pick up a company that he owns.
Oh.
That's a direct conflict of interest,
Well,
which I find problematic. That's very problematic to me, that a person that is in a high level of influence in our government has the right to not only change government policies and contracts, but it's directly affiliated and
affecting
connected
him
to his benefit,
to his
which is the
benefit?
problem. What I mean, if they get the contract, then
Mhm.
how is that not his benefit if he
Mhm.
owns the
Yeah.
company?
Mhm.
What do you mean?
No, I'm trying to
Oh, okay.
grasp what you're saying. I haven't like kept up.
Oh,
that
I
to
think you
that
can look it up.
point.
Would you mind looking up that link for me? Look up the FAA contract with Verizon and then Starlink for me, Calvin.
Yeah, I looked that up.
Yeah, it's it's pretty problematic.
It's hugely problematic. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because when Trump took office, he specifically said, I have a link to a YouTube video, I don't think Calvin has it, where he said, well, if there's ever a time of a conflict of interest between Elon and the office of Doge,
Right.
then we'll make sure that we eliminate those conflicts of interest. And
Yeah.
that's a complete lie by Donald Trump. That's a direct lie.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a problem with it, because
What do you
Donald
think about
Trump it's a direct lie. It's crony capitalism.
What do you think about the fact that his I guess his
And I'm a tech bro. I normally root for the tech.
Let me know when you're done. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. What do you think about the fact that his company Tesla was pretty much specifically created to address, I guess, purported environmental issues? Like how come that we don't hear about that anymore? That was his claim to fame, the fact that he was solving, I guess, a climate
coming up with
crisis.
electric vehicles.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how come his what he's done and the advances he's made in that technology, and I guess what he's done for humanity
by the right?
How come that has been pretty much thrown under the wayside and everyone forgot about that?
Because people still buy Teslas.
Why do they vandalize Tesla dealerships now?
Oh,
I don't know, but I mean, I'm not trying to argue that, but I don't think at the time that Tesla was created and those vehicles and his concept was created, he did not have a position of power within the U.S. government, correct?
If his position of power, even though he doesn't really have one now.
I'm saying when his vehicle concept was created, was he in a position of governmental power?
Obviously no.
No, he was a private person, just like he is now.
All right. So what are you saying?
Just the fact that he has, it's kind of troubling the fact that he has developed, his whole claim to fame was for environmentalism, and people seem to have forgotten the fact that everything he's done is for environmentalism.
What does it have to do with Doge, though, which is our topic?
Who's forgotten the?
What does it have to do with Doge? That's not our topic.
The right
that's not
or the left?
our topic is Doge. What does that have to do with Doge?
Well, he's a key figure in Doge, and that's something that can't be neglected when it comes to evaluating what Doge is doing, because him as the head advisor of Doge, that needs to be evaluated. Like he's
Is he technically the head advisor of Doge?
He's the one who.
Who else would
he
be? Who
purported-
else have we been
he's the one
hearing
who-
about?
Well, he's not the administrator.
No, you
That's-
said head advisor.
right.
Who
That's
else
what he
is
I
that?
said.
said.
I said.
Who
I said.
else
head
is
That's
that?
what
advisor.
he said.
That's what I
But do you
said. That's
not
what I
think he's a
said.
head
Yeah.
advisor?
Oh, I'm not saying that.
administrator.
So you're willing to admit that he's a head advisor?
Yeah, like
So would that
who
not be
else
a
do we
He's,
hear
a,
about?
he's an advisor. That's what I would.
So that would definitely
Like,
be a
who's-
conflict of interest. But he's not the administrator.
No, you told me that just now.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's Amy Gleason or somebody like that. I
Yeah,
think
he has-
Calvin
he
can
has
look
no
that up.
actual power. He just has the power to advise, and I
But
mean,
we don't know that. That's just metaphysical.
So your
Should I
problem
say? That's
is
just metaphysical. We don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
We can't measure it.
your problem is
That's okay.
not with what is being done, but necessarily as much as who's doing it.
Correct.
I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
I get that. I don't have an argument
yeah,
for that. It could.
right.
I haven't looked
Hmm.
enough into it. Like, you could be right about that. I don't disagree
Right.
with you. Now,
And
I
I'm
want to
for
talk
tech
about
for finding solutions to problems.
I want to talk about as far as
with that.
what is being done. This is what I've just noticed right off the bat. Let me read some. I just went on the Doge X account, and so they're listing every day the money that they're saving or canceling grants for.
Mhm.
So let me read some of these and tell me if you all, what do you all notice is the common thread?
Sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
So let me read some of these, and I'm specifically picking and choosing. I'm not just going down the list, but this is for today, the ones I'm picking and choosing.
All right.
Okay. Let me know if you all notice a common thread. Using telehealth to improve acts. Okay, $142,000 grant. These are things that they've been canceling. Using telehealth to improve access to gender affirming care. $1.3 million grant canceled that was going to go to transforming health for gender diverse young adults. Okay, that's obvious, right? This is not the common thread. Even though this third one is going to say gender, there's another common thread. $120,000 canceled for personalized 3D avatar tool development focused on gender identities. $400,000 for researching sources of minority stress and alcohol consumption among adults who report uncertainty about their sexual orientation. You know what? Let me go to another one because a common thread here is like everything
Wow,
is
that's
gender.
totally spread all
Yeah,
over the
let me.
place. What?
It's completely
Gender affirming and
health.
alcohol? Like,
No, but
what?
that was for gender.
That's crazy.
That's
That's a crazy title.
so another.
I actually
this
agree
is
with
from,
you on that. That's
this
crazy.
is from earlier this week. It says, hold on, let me go to. Well, I lost my page. Okay, here it is. 60 million. Okay, U.S. taxpayer dollars were going to be spent on the following items, all of which have been canceled. Okay, 60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment. Okay?
Yeah.
74 million for inclusive justice in Colombia. 79 million for primary literacy in Kenya. 37 million for female empowerment in Colombia. 8 million to reduce stigma, discrimination, and violence against LGBTQ plus communities in Lesotho.
Lesotho.
3.3 million
Lesotho, yeah.
for
the
being
country.
LGBTQI in the Caribbean. 25,000 to increase vegan local climate action innovation. Okay, let me find
Incredible. Wow.
yeah. Let me keep going.
No, I think that's enough.
You think
can-
that's enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can stop. So what I've noticed is a common thread is so much of this money has been spent on what I told you about on Sunday, social engineering programs. Whether it's gender, whether it's AIDS, HIV, healthcare, right? Whether it's reproductive rights, it's like all, whether it's the stress
Some of that stuff is in
migrants are going
foreign countries though, like the
to. A
Colombia
lot
thing.
of these are
Yeah,
foreign
yeah,
countries,
yeah.
but it's still
Has nothing
social.
to do with here.
No. it doesn't matter. It's
I
it's
agree
worse.
with you.
It's social
I agree with you.
engineering.
No, I agree.
I
with
didn't
you.
say domestic social engineering.
No, I agree with you.
Social engineering. So it's on a way broader scale. Like,
Yeah, economic hitman.
we've been wondering, like, I'm not going to speak for you. I've been wondering, what is like this mentality shift that has happened like in the past 5 years that has like, it can't just be like that, this is a new generation, because it seems like so many people have this new mentality, but it's all this mentality, right? And
It's not always.
no, not all. I'm speaking hyperbolically.
Okay.
Okay, let me
bad.
just talk.
My bad.
Okay, thank you. So it's all geared toward, not all, but so much of it seems geared, a majority of it, to a certain like idea, right? And it's like, obviously, if what I read, all these millions of dollars are being put into these global programs, right? That are meant to socially engineer and reshape minds. These are indoctrination programs of the mind that the US taxpayer dollar has been being spent on. And I can't say that I haven't looked into any of these programs, but what are we spending millions of dollars sending to Colombia for stress studies or gender affirming studies, or none of this makes sense, because it all seems to have just like this one goal in mind, and it's like, let's change the mindset of people globally, right? By how are they doing it? Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying.
But this has happened in the past.
Let me finish what I'm saying. How do you change the minds of people, right? That are, if you want to get half the country of Colombia to buy into these 5 ideologies, right? What do? You go to needy people and you give them money. That's what it's going to. It's not necessarily going, like, these programs are not, the programs are for administrative use, but I don't even know, but I guarantee you that these offices are set up and the word on the street is, hey, go here. They will give you money if you're in need, right? That's what it's about. They'll give you money when you're in need, but at the same time, they're going to hand you pamphlets on like homosexuality, gender affirming care, transsexual, whatever
they could, yeah.
Basically,
transsexual. That's not the proper term.
I know it's not. That's why I stopped myself. Sorry, that's outdated, but I don't care. It is whatever. What is the term? Transgender. That's it. So basically, you're buying the people. All this money is going to these programs, but what are these programs doing? They're not doing studies. They're not doing anything. They're giving needy people money, and they're letting them know who's giving you money. Us. What do we stand for? We stand for a liberal mindset. We stand for equality, inclusion, the rainbow flag. It's basically.
So can I dial you back in just to get back on top?
Yes.
So you think that Doge is good for eliminating some of these programs? Is that why you're? I'm just trying to get you dialed back into the topic.
Yes. It's an eye opener, right? That all of this money has been set aside. That Doge has found all of these monies being set aside, and they've been getting all this money, and so many.
And you think that Americans should have transparency to look into those monies being spent on these programs, and then judge if our tax dollars should be going to that or not?
Yes, but I don't think that money should be going to ideology programs, is what I'm saying.
No, I get that, but I'm saying, how do we tie that back to Doge?
Doge is uncovering this.
Okay,
did you know about it?
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Did you know about these programs?
I mean, I don't know.
These are ideology programs.
But it doesn't surprise me, because this has been done in the past. It's one of the reasons why, I'm not trying to go too deep into politics, but I mean, this has been done with the Iran-Contra thing.
I'm not saying it hasn't.
I didn't say you didn't say that.
But what I'm saying is, they are being very specific, and when you add it up, so many of these grants
this has been the nature of American politics, and in particular certain policies of a particular political side that has been done in America for years.
Yeah, so Doge just discovered that millions of US taxpayer dollars, right, are going to socially engineer the world.
Do you realize what the Iran-Contra thing did?
No,
Do you
what
realize
is
what
it?
happened
What is
in the
it?
80s?
I don't.
Do
It
you
doesn't
realize?
even matter, but you can tell me because I'm just talking.
I mean, it
about,
was social engineering, and it was
Okay,
on a deeper. It was on
but
a
is that
deeper.
not wrong?
Oh, I agree. Yes, I'm just
That's
saying.
wrong.
I'm just saying that this has been done, and it's,
I'm not saying that it hasn't been done. I don't know everything about history, Fred. I don't know everything about like everything in the 80s and 90s. You can school me on that later. What I'm
not
saying
trying to
is
school you.
anytime it happens, I think it's wrong.
Oh, I agree.
All right.
For our
Well,
taxpayer
No,
dollars
I
to be
agree. I
spent
agree. I
on,
agree.
that's
We
my
agree.
point.
Yeah, we agree.
And Doge has
Yeah.
uncovered this.
Well, I'll
So
take
I
over
think
from
that
here.
that's good.
I agree with that.
I'll take over from here, and I think Blanca is onto something here.
Mhm.
That it is kind of weird that taxpayer dollars are spent on, I would accurately call social engineing. On the practical
I just think
side,
that it's weird
well,
when it's a
I haven't
particular
finished
sway.
my point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. They've been spent on some things that are not really conducive to taxpayers' money, sure, but it is such a drop in the pail of like it doesn't even, the amount of money that has been spent on that is nothing at all.
I agree with
Which is even more
It's
troubling
65
because it's
billion.
Can we look that up? How much has Doge uncovered in program? Like, what's the actual
65 billion.
no, but the point,
65 billion.
the whole
Up to
point of the
now.
program,
That they've canceled. Go ahead.
the whole
sorry.
point of the program was to really cut exactly how much we're spending in the government.
Mhm.
They honestly are not doing it fast enough. They've
I
only
agree.
cut $100 billion by now, which is nothing.
But it's still a
we spend
lot.
$6.5 to $7 trillion every year, and we only take in $4 trillion every year in taxes, and only a very small fraction of that has been spent in social engineering. So,
But you're not
really,
trying to say that they shouldn't be canceled, though, because 100 billion is still 100 billion. It might be 2%, but it's still 100 billion.
it really just serves. It's really just an
said.
experiment on exactly. I'm just glad that they have illustrated exactly how much
Relatively,
our
but
government
does it
has.
mean
Exactly. They've illustrated exactly how much our government has spent on all of this stuff. I mean, the fact that it is for social engineering is very troubling, and it begs the question: if we're able to spend taxpayer money on social engineering, then can we not do that when our people are in charge? Why does it only have to be with when the other people are in charge?
I agree.
So
I agree with that fully.
I don't think it should be done with either.
I don't think it should be done with either.
Yeah.
But if
that's
social
where
engineering is
we're
a
different.
valid expenditure of taxpayer money, then shouldn't both sides be able to do social engineering?
No, I don't think it should be social engineering. I think there should be an objective audit of spending regardless.
No, but he's asking, forget the audit. He's asking about, is it okay for social engineering on any side to be done?
No,
No.
it's unethical.
And
It's
let me
unethical.
answer your question.
It's unethical. It's immoral.
If it costs 120 billion to cancel 100 billion of grants that are socially engineering, if it costs 200 billion, it's worth
That's
it.
a wash,
No.
though.
If it's 200 billion, if it's double the cost to cancel these social engineering programs, it's worth it. Because this social engineering is wrong. It's wrong for it to be happening. So I don't care if it's a wash or if it costs us more or if we're barely saving 20 billion. These social engineering programs should not be happening. We're not talking about feeding the hungry. We're not talking about health care, like access to health care, access to clean drinking water, access to vaccinations against malaria. We're not talking about. We're talking about. I don't care if it's 100 billion and if it's a drop in the bucket. It doesn't matter. It needs to be stopped because it's a cancer.
I agree with that.
And it doesn't
regardless
need to
of which side
happen.
does it.
Regardless of which
Yeah,
side
I agree
does
with
it.
I would say
And I think
I
it's
agree with that.
alarming
I can agree
that
with
our
that.
taxpayer dollars have been spent for who knows how long to do this. And I think it's like almost I don't know, it almost seems criminal or illegal in some way. Like,
I would agree. But
Well, let's look
yeah.
at the Iran Contra
That's another-
affair. Like that was very illegal, and like
Nah,
people
it's
don't
already
want to
been-
people don't want to recognize that. People from
whoever did it, if
MAGA,
there's-
make America great again.
well, that's
like,
not
people
me.
don't.
I mean, if you have a bone to pick with that, that has nothing to do with
Oh,
me.
I know,
don't even know
I'm just
what
saying,
it is.
I'm just saying that it occurred, and it occurred at a time when there wasn't so much data readily available for access. But that's a different topic. I don't want to go off on a side.
No, but let me say one thing.
I don't want to go off on a side.
When you say MAGA, right? You're talking about a group of people. Talking heads are paid to be talking heads. They're not going to be agreeing with. They're going to find a way to gaslight on either side, right?
Oh, I agree
that
with
doesn't
that.
mean
fully. I fully 100% agree
MAGA.
with you.
That doesn't mean that Trump supporters think that.
But when I said MAGA, I wasn't necessarily referring to Trump.
Yeah, but a majority of Trump supporters.
Not necessarily. MAGA goes back to Reagan. That's the original statement,
right?
That's where the statement, or the origin of the statement,
I'm not
comes
even
from.
talking about that, Fred. Yeah. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the origin. I'm talking about MAGA right now.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about MAGA right now, right? I just want you to be clear when you speak and say, well, MAGA, the majority of MAGA is not going to say that Iran Contra is no, talk about everyday people. If you're talking about MAGA and the
but a bunch of everyday people that belong to MAGA don't know what Iran Contra is.
Okay, so then how can they even say they won't agree that it was wrong?
Then why should they agree or not agree if they don't know?
They don't. But you just said a bunch of MAGA people won't agree that Iran Contra was wrong. You're talking about the talking heads.
I'm not talking about the talking. I'm talking about the everyday Joe Schmo on the block
that doesn't know.
That doesn't know.
But
stuff.
You just said that they're not going to agree that it was wrong. So that implies that they would know about it and then disagree that it was wrong.
No, it doesn't imply. It implies that they're uneducated about it and they're just going to go with whatever.
So what was your point? If they're uneducated, what's the point to make? What was your point?
My point is
there was
that
no point
social
to make if they don't even
engineering.
know about it.
My point is that social engineering has existed from both sides.
I'm not saying it hasn't. It's wrong.
I agree.
I don't have to
That's
know
why
the
I agree
whole
with
history
you. That's why I agree
of
with
the
you.
United States or the world or specific examples to know and to speak intelligently and to say it's wrong on either side. I don't have to know about Iran Contra specific details. Whether
you should know if you support a particular position.
Well, tell me about it.
We don't have to. That's a side topic.
Like if you wanna show off something that I don't know that you know, you can tell me about it. I don't know about it, but it doesn't mean yes, I should know. Then tell me about it. Because I don't know doesn't mean that what I'm saying is like invalid or any less or even any less valid. Regardless, social engineering should not be happening. Period. Especially with our tax dollars on any side.
Completely agree with you.
We have enough religion. We have enough of that. Let's stick to it. That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
We shouldn't be spending tax dollars on it.
I'm gonna actually.
I completely agree with that.
Yes, I'm gonna start this.
Not
this
trying to
subject,
rival you on that.
And that's actually such a good topic to carry into maybe the next episode, because that is something I would really like to tackle: social engineering and why it's okay for some people to do it, but not for other people to do it. Like for instance,
but I think what she said though, it shouldn't be done. Like I think it's unethical, regardless of what position the social engineering is trying to produce. Right.
But the thing is that it's happening, so that's why your question still stands, because it is still happening.
Like
it's always been happening. As long as you have a society and a civilization, and you have a place where policies and politics exist, politics is social engineering. It's all about influence.
But we're talking about
it's all about influence.
Dollars.
Which ties back to Doge.
What you guys are thinking at a very surface level here. Let's think about something very fundamental: social engineering. What if I were to tell my friend, hey, you should probably do something like this to increase your lifestyle. You should probably.
What do you mean by increase your lifestyle?
I'm sorry, to improve your lifestyle.
Oh, improve your lifestyle.
You should drink less alcohol to improve your lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
That's social engineering.
Well, that's health, because the National Health Institute talks about.
I agree with him. That's social engineering.
But health is in many different ways. I mean, you can have spiritual health, mental health, physical health, and
Well, I
financial
just
health.
said that's health because
So-
it's been proven that alcohol is a toxin.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
should
That's
dial
why.
it back to like Doge, and Doge is really connected to money that the government spends, and is it a good use or is it a bad use?
Yeah.
Right.
And are we being superfluous in the money that we spend on whatever it is? I mean, if we want to spend for My Little Pony pink horses, or should we spend money to feed the poor? Like,
I do have one question.
So, well, we got
ahead.
another topic to go into after this. DEI.
yeah, but
And
we're gonna
the-
probably save that topic for
Well, no, the blackout.
yeah,
Are we doing that tonight?
yes.
Oh
yeah. That's why he said we have another topic, so let's wrap it up. Here.
Oh, we're wrapping
Oh
it up.
shoot. Yeah,
I
didn't
thought
mean
he said we should go
Can I
into
just-
that.
Can
No,
I
no,
pose
no.
the one question for the next time? This is my question.
Yes. Go
Are
ahead and do
there
it.
any taxpayer dollars that are being spent on programs that would be socially engineered, but that I would agree, not the social engineering part, but that I would agree with the philosophy on, like spreading Christianity, but they're not talking about it. Is there anything that Doge has found that they haven't canceled that is a social engineering that's on
No.
That's a
our
good
side?
question.
Because
a
that's
good question.
illegal. You can't use taxpayer dollars to
Fund religion.
foment
That's an example.
explicit religion.
Mhm.
That's an example. Let's say anti-abortion. Anti-abortion. Is there U.S. aid money that they found on grants for anti-abortion
No.
that they didn't cancel, and they're not talking about it
Well,
because
Blanca.
that could be that could be social engineering. That's on
Blanca,
the other side.
abortion falls under the category of science, which is secular.
No, abortion. If there are a pro,
So,
There's a moral
yeah.
argument with
do
abortion.
you see what I'm saying? Are there
Yeah, I
are
agree
there
with her on
social
that.
engineering
Yeah, but
programs
there's a
that
moral
they
argument.
have
Yeah, but
found
taxpayer
and are on
dollars-
our side?
A
Taxpayer
metaphysical
dollars don't
argument.
address that. Taxpayer dollars don't address that, though.
That's
So,
my point. Have they found programs that are either pro or anti-abortion, right? But really anti-abortion that they haven't told us about, and they're like, leave that one, don't cancel that one,
Mhm.
because that's social engineering.
Remains to be seen.
Mhm.
That's the.
Yeah,
Do you
remains to be
understand my
seen.
question?
No, I
Like,
completely
yeah.
agree with you.
Remains to be seen. All right, guys, let's wrap this up and head into the last thing. And yeah,
Let's do it.
all right. Hey guys, welcome back. We're doing the last topic for the night, and
Yeah, it's
whatever.
definitely the last topic.
last topic.
Last call out here, y'all.
whatever. Oh, leave me alone. Okay, so we had to re-workshop this because it's been a point of contention. So there is a DEI. I'm sorry. There's an economic.
Keep going.
So,
Is it-
guys, there's an economic blackout.
An economic blackout. Thank you. And it's
Today?
it's going on today. It was initiated by an individual named John Schwarz, an organization called the People's Union of America.
Correct.
And he's calling for people to withhold their financial purchases digitally, at least, because that's what can be tracked. And I guess fundamentally or philosophically, he wants everyone to
I mean, initially, I think he did
halt
it
their
for corporate
purchases.
greed, but other people attached
But it isn't-
individual.
what is it in response to? Which is what I'm trying to understand too.
I think it's corporate greed. I think it's DEI. I think it's Trump's particular stance on DEI, and also other corporations' stance on DEI.
Okay. Well, yeah. So John Schwarz, I looked up his bio before. He has been a entrepreneur and some kind of mindfulness meditation expert.
Yeah, meditation expert. I think he's been a
Yes.
musician too. I think I think he held a position at one of the most downloaded apps, Drumeo or something like that.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
So, I mean, I don't think that really matters much in our conversation. I guess it's just that it was something that people participated in. It became a national phenomenon. It's just interesting to me.
Mhm.
There is one thing I'd like to bring up with this particular organization, but I would like to hear Blanca's
Nice.
kind of, what do you think about this kind of boycott activism before I chime in on what I want to say.
Yeah.
If he did it for corporate greed, I don't necessarily disagree in this inflationary economy. I went to
Yes.
Target before Black Friday, like a couple days before, and they had clearance everywhere, right? But the clearance was literally $20. Now it's $18. And I was like, this is not clearance. And then things were so expensive and overpriced. I'm talking about, like, I went to the cookie, like the cookie section, the crackers, and like the grocery little section at Target, and like a bag of like chips was like $8. I'm like, this is crazy. And it made me so like upset that they would try to gaslight us and call something clearance when it's clearly like a 10% sale or a 15% sale. I was like, this is crazy. This is not just like greedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're also being manipulative because it's like, put it on sale, put your original, like, I didn't even see a sale sign. Everything was like red labels, and it said previously $20, now $19, previously $14, now $13.50, and it said clearance. And I was like, this is not what is going on. Like, I felt like I was in an alternate reality, and that, if that's what we're doing this for, then yeah, let's do it all day.
And I want to piggyback on that. I think coming from our generation, I remember at a time, I mean, even years ago, just a couple of years ago, where if I went to Kroger versus Target for groceries, I'm talking about food items. I'm not talking
Food
about
items,
beauty items or like garbage bags or non-grocery items. But literally, I wanted to buy some bread, and the bread at Kroger also said like what you spoke about. It said, you know how you have the Kroger card and there's an automatic discount. They had a price for a particular brand of bread, and it was $1 more than Target. Target had it as regular price, and it was cheaper than Kroger. But Kroger was advertising it on sale, and I'm like, when did Target become cheaper on food items than Kroger?
Right.
That, like, if you were grocery shopping at Target, that was considered like bougie. Oh
yeah, bougie.
Yeah, you should. But Target has cheaper prices than Kroger.
Well,
right
then
now
at that on that particular item, that particular
item, but it was bread though.
Yeah,
bread. That's a very basic item that people buy. It was bread.
And some of, like, the reason it's annoying and angering actually is because these are not items that like the egg situation. Something's truly going on. These are items where they're just like, oh, well, we could get that price for it. Jack it up.
Could be.
And a lot of these I feel are, you know.
Do you think they're?
I'm not saying
is
their
it
cost
exploitation
at
some
because I don't feel
point?
that their cost probably has gone up, but not to this point. No, I'm sorry. Crazy. It has not. It has not. The price, because this is the thing. Check the price of flour, right? And then compared to, why has the price of bread gone up 30%, but the price of flour has gone up like 5%?
Yeah, it's still relatively the same.
It's exploitation.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these prices are exploitation. And they're like, well, let's see if we can get the money. Let's see if we can get that price for it.
That's crazy.
No, yeah. If that's what it's about, then yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Totally.
Now, a lot of people were participating in the economic blackout, by what I read, for other reasons that he may have not completely outlined. And that formed like little sub boycotts under that.
Sub pockets, yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's a rollback on DEI because certain companies have been categorized as rolling back their DEI programs, and I
Right.
understand that. But I just think it's interesting that people were galvanized by multiple different reasons to fight back against the corporate, I want to say monsters, for lack of a better word, on these exploitive prices. Like,
and I have this to say. If okay, I think that we do as a people have a certain power over inflation. If we actually extend this economic blackout to maybe the next 3 months, but not buy anything, buy only your essentials. Be careful about what you buy. Don't then like we're gonna affect the price of things. It's supply and demand. You know, they're gonna be like, oh well, maybe we can't get this price for this
it's
anymore.
economics.
It's economics. Bring down the prices. You know, like I think that we as a people should also do our part to not be victims to it and stop looking at the government to solve all our problems. It's
I
like,
agree
okay,
with
well
that.
let's stop
I agree with that.
buying everything and just paying the price and being okay with it because you know everyone like because you got a salary increase because you demanded it because of the economy, but still don't even if you have a salary increase, don't spend your money on something that you know is overpriced. Like let's for the next 3 months, let's everybody be thoughtful. That would be huge.
Well, and I think John Schwarz is extending this blackout not necessarily by a particular time. Well, it is a particular time frame, but he's going to target specific businesses on specific dates. So it's not just going to be indefinite or just like a general overlap of a specific time, but he's going to target specific companies on specific days or specific time frames and just not to do business with them. And I think that's what you're saying because I do think there comes a point of like, well, what are we willing to get maxed out to? Like,
if we
what
don't,
does it mean?
if we
So,
don't make a
like, if they
stand
mark it up at $10 a loaf of bread, are we just gonna start paying that? Like,
and I
just,
think
even if
that-
you can't afford, it's not it's the principle at that
it's
point.
the principle. But I do think that as like people get older and become adults, right? They a lot of times people may not know, oh, well, this shouldn't be this price. They're new and now they're grocery shopping. So they're like, oh, I guess this is the price it is. So they're paying for it. They don't have necessarily a context to compare it to. But like we do, you know, and people even 5 years older than them do. They're like, no, this shouldn't be that price. Well, but they don't know. So they're like, okay, well, this is the price. This sucks, but this is the price of, you know, food in the US, and they think that's just how it is. Maybe, you know, maybe it's a little higher, but like they don't realize, they don't have anything to compare it to if they weren't buying for themselves before all these prices went up.
Well, and I did a comparison, and this is totally based on fiction and entertainment, but like I rewatched Breaking Bad, and that was filmed it was years ago. I think it was at least 15 years ago, and there was a price on gas and there was a price on pizza, and that price on pizza was similar to today. And it's like, well, how is pizza similar today? Like, you can get a pizza, like if you use a special for $15, and 10 years ago, a pizza was still like $10 to $15. So why are all these other things in the grocery store 100 to 300% the cost?
Exactly.
And it doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. It's,
you know, I can understand if it was $1 more, 75 cents more.
And I can understand certain things like the eggs or certain
but
like
due to certain circumstances
going on.
with the avian flu or the bird flu, and like I get that.
Yeah, but no, they are fully taking advantage, and I see a lot of younger people not really knowing better and being
and they're
like,
just willing to pay it
because and they're like, look, I just need bread. Like, I don't know how much it was before then because my parents bought it and now I'm buying it and it sucks. It's expensive. Crazy. But I think that this thing would be a great idea. But if it's extended out, either like what he's doing by store, but like one day can have a huge economic like effect. But like, how about a week? Let's do a week.
That's I'm down.
You know, and
Gang,
I would
like to say something about Mr. John Schwarz and his People's Union as we wrap this up.
Mhm.
And this may actually carry on to our next topic. I looked into this a lot as you introduced it to me, and he might be a Marxist communist. It's a little troubling what he's into. You can tell by his phraseology, the People's Union.
A union.
Oh, yeah.
No,
for
not even
sure.
the union.
A union.
The
The
People's
people's,
Union,
no, really.
capital
So,
P People's.
Totally. Yeah.
And this actually, your average person wouldn't even. They'd be like, "Oh, the people. That's like me." But no, that's actually a communist. What
Propaganda
dog whistle?
name. Yeah, exactly.
What a dog whistle for communism. He is. I'm sure he's got a lot of influence in universities, which I would like to look into, and we should investigate that next time.
We could, but the union doesn't necessarily mean necessary. I mean, it's a
Brother, the union is synonymous with the people.
yeah, but the unions have been a part of
For
the
100
American
years.
mixed economy for a while now.
100 years.
Yeah.
Very new.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
that's
yeah.
half the existence of our country. 100 years.
So does that mean
Less than half.
it's
Yeah,
still
that's fine,
good?
that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's half the
So
existence.
you think
of,
it's still good,
Yeah,
a
it's-
union?
I think in certain instances it can be. That's where I would take a political position and an economic position that unions can be good for our country.
Look, I would just say that this
I
guy
do
needs
believe in
to.
that.
We should be wary of his intentions, and
Now,
I hope he means very well.
yeah,
So yes,
yeah.
that's all.
I'm
Hope
glad
he
that
means
you
very well.
stated that. I did
Mhm.
pick up on the People's Union.
I
Now,
picked
as
up on
far
that.
as, yeah, I'm sure you did. But as
Mhm.
far as like, if it's just about corporate greed and all these inflationary prices, I'm down. Anything else that comes along with it, like all that, no, I'm not. But I don't have to like throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly.
Indeed.
And that's what I'm trying to say is that I wasn't necessarily trying to, even though it is political, it's more of an economical pushback, and that's
Mhm.
what I wanted to attach myself to.
Yeah,
I'm not, and
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
going to say, I didn't want to really delve into this on this podcast, on this particular segment. I'm down with the anti-DEI thing myself, but yeah, that's not necessarily Marxist or communist.
This is one thing we could
No?
talk about anytime in the future, but I think one of the things that could really save us is buying secondhand and being okay with buying.
What about buying
secondhand.
local and not part of these huge
Well,
corporations?
that's fine, but
Mm.
we always talk about local. I want to talk about buying secondhand, where
Yeah, I
you
like
can
that.
normalize and make it like take the stigma out of going to yard sales. You know what I'm saying?
Thrift stores,
Even
digital
Mm.
platforms like
digital
Poshmark, like
platforms,
eBay.
because then you're just basically recirculating that money and then you're taking it out of the hands of like these corporations like
Yes.
Old Navy, and like those are ways for us to actually not
Take the power back.
to take the power back, but not feel like we're just like, oh my gosh, I need this outfit for like
Right.
school, but I can't even go back because no, you can go buy it. Go secondhand. You can still have it. You just don't need to give them your money.
I agree with that.
So I think that's one thing that we like that could be a big way to be able to move this thing forward in our favor.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that's the gist of it. I just wanted to cover it briefly. I didn't want to go to a deep dive for us, but it's just current events.
Yeah.
We don't have
And I participated in the economic blackout for the record. So
I got gas today. I bought a rotisserie chicken, and a cheese and pepperoni cracker platter.
canceled.
I'm canceled.
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, and I got a pair of jeans. Dang, I had a big shopping day today.
Oh Lord.
In between after work and in between going to where we needed, I failed.
See how well rounded our cast is, people?
I failed. I didn't mean to fail.
We
I
are.
wasn't even
We
thinking.
are.
I was only thinking about my needs.